Sigla. Aspetta che il prossimo in sala d'attesa. Vabbè. Mi fai entrare dopo, lancia la sigla prima. Non è un problema. Welcome everybody. We are here in a new meeting of Chain Reaction. We are in Mantova, connected with Bologna, and we are experimenting a new setting of Chain Reaction, in which we are broadcasting from Mantova and from Bologna. I will say welcome to Bruno Travetti from La Baracca Questioni Ragazzi, that is now in Visioni Festival. Ciao Bruno, the floor is yours. How is it going in Bologna? The festival started a few years ago.
2 hours ago. 2 years, it's a little bit too much, but it's exactly where we last in Bologna last time, in the meaning that we restarted Visioni fully in presence. So here this morning we had the conference, the seminar about the first 2000 days of our lives that you can find on our digital platform also. And everything is proceeding. We are having now a workshop. We are going to have 4 shows within the end of the day. And we had also 2 this morning. So the festival officially started. And this is another step.
Very, very well. Thank you. So now I will say welcome to our guests that are far away in Netherlands. We have Jan Banstra. Ciao, Jan. Welcome.
Hello. Hi.
How is it there? Where are you?
All right, now I'm on a family weekend. So I'm not doing anything in the performing arts at the moment, but on Monday I will fly to Bologna to go to the Visioni Festival.
Okay, you will go to Bologna, and then the company will come to Mantova. So we are really creating a communicating vessel dynamic.
Exactly, Christina.
Fantastic. And then we have, that I can see, let me check the gallery, Gaia Gonnelli. Gaia Gonnelli. Welcome, Gaia. How did you know about us? Because we don't know you, but you accepted the invitation to come in this meeting. Ecco, we have a new guest, Simone de Jong case from the Crackling here in Mantova. Connected, and I will spoil you something, look.
I don't hear you so well, Cristina. You have really strong, very strong echo still. Well, I'm Gaia from Dado Dance, based in Amsterdam, and well, at the moment I'm also at home. I accept the invitation because I've been before to Bologna, actually to Visioni, and I was very happy to receive an invitation from an Italian festival, of course, because I'm Italian myself, and it's always good to keep connected to the home country. So, yes.
Can you hear well? Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. Then I will give the floor to Simone in case, and to speak, you both, you need to use my microphone, so you will see this passing from me to them, like magic. Look. You don't need to do anything else, just speak in the microphone.
Hello, I'm Simone from Simone Baccheri, and I visit the wonder art here. No, it's closed.
And I had to join because I'm here last year. It was online. And
I ben deze leider van de Krakeling Amsterdam. The venue dedicated to young audiences, and I'm also the chair of this Archdish, and I'm here for let's say the third or fourth time, maybe.
Okay, now you just need to speak. Okay, no, don't worry. You just need to speak more closer to the microphone.
Oh, more close to the mic. It's maybe my fourth time here at Mantelbach Festival. The city I love most, and the festival I love most. And I sometimes drink also shows I've seen here to my venue in Amsterdam. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm here.
Okay, yeah, we really need to speak closer to the microphone, otherwise they don't hear us far away. Yes.
Do you need the microphone now?
Okay, check it.
Yeah, is this okay?
Ask the people there.
Okay.
Vuoi alzare da qua il
Gaia
microfono?
says no. This is better, Gaia.
Okay. Ah, no?
Yeah, Gaia says no. Maybe this is as close as I can get to the microphone. So if this doesn't work, I don't know how it will work. Better, Gaia, can you hear me? No, Gaia.
Si sente ma c'è eco.
I think maybe you shouldn't be in the same room because the microphone are interfering with each other, no?
No, è che sono dal lato di là e vicino alle casse, questo è il problema.
Yeah, maybe
Ah,
that's
ok, abbasso le casse.
Abbassa le casse, bravo. Non ne abbiamo bisogno. Ok, yeah. Ok, ah ma c'è un problema. No, you need to be in another room. Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better? Okay, we solved the problem. Great. It's the first day of the festival, you know. A lot of the technology is never helping. So since we have, I hope, fitted all the technicalities, we can go deeper in the meeting. So today we are here to speak about the Dutch scene. That means that we will ask our guests to tell us some information about their country. We have a festival, another festival, the Bring Festival, crackling with the festival that almost finished in those days in Amsterdam. Then we have a company and a tour agent, if I understood well from Gaia. Who wants to start to tell us something? And we have another company, sorry, Anastasia. I didn't see you and I didn't give you the floor. Would you like to introduce yourself briefly and to say ciao to the people?
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me? Yes, good. So, ciao. I'm Anastasia Lubchenko, and I'm artistic leader of a Mime Wave company, which is based in Amsterdam. I'm a mime performer and I am theater maker. And I will perform Monday and Tuesday with our show Yellow in Visioni Festival for the first time. So I'm really looking forward. And we made our decor which can travel in a flight. So that's our first big adventure abroad. So now we can fly. I'm really happy. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, who wants to start to tell us which is the... Ciao, Andreas. There are people joining us. Ciao, Andrea. Andreas, welcome. Yes, you were running to be there. Thank you for being with us. So, I will start from Kies. That is the person, I would say the person that knows the festival from, that is coming from Mantova, from maybe one of the first edition, I believe. It looks like something like that. Kiss, would you love to tell us, and also, you almost finished the festival. Would you love to tell us something about this festival? Something means, how many companies did you have from national floor or international? And then if there were producers joining you, how is it going with this reopening and how was the general feeling of the festival? When is the festival? And all those basic things about the festival. I give you the microphone.
These are a lot of questions altogether.
You have 2 minutes.
Let me start by saying that we just finished our festival last Sunday. But the Kraking is normally a venue which programs like some 300 shows a year, not different shows, but like 80 or 90 different shows, 300 shows altogether, for schools, for free audiences, families can buy tickets. Also we also co-produce every year one show. The festival had last week was like 10 days. But this year it was only with national shows, and it was 18 different plays playing all over town, and we didn't risk in June to invite international shows because we were thinking through COVID maybe it would be very how can we say not risky to program shows from international fields. But normally we program like 5 international shows. And we now program, for instance, the festival and the whole season of 22-23. So that's how it works in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands has a system which works with companies subsidized by the governments, and that there are theatre groups all over. Every province has its own theatre group who travels in the province and plays out there for schools in the area, but also play in the whole country. We know Holland is not such a big country like Italy. And there are also like 6 dance companies who are subsidized by the government, and they tour also in their own region and all through the country. What is important to say that for the Italian companies, let's say if they want to join the festival, we are willing to look at them. I'm a fan of the Unterwasser company. I programmed them twice. There was Out and Arimara. What's the last one I saw?
Of the Unterwasser company?
Yeah.
Out?
Yeah, and the last one with the Arimara. But I programmed it. So sometimes I bring Italian shows to the Netherlands, and depending on the costs and how many are available. I think in shortcuts, what I can say. Maybe there are questions.
They say that it's not so clear, it's not easy to understand. I don't understand why at the moment. I don't think it's your fault.
Entrano con l'audio delle cuffiette queste.
What can I do to make it more clear?
PC loro attivano l'audio e entrano con le cuffie.
Proviamo. Però perché quello? Non ha microfono quello. Togliamo, ok. Sgancia il microfono e usiamo quelli singoli, proviamo. Sì. Okay, let's
Chef
try to do it
Max
that way. No, I mean, you were speaking. Try now to speak.
Oh. Shall I try again? Is this better?
Okay.
This is a reverb here.
Okay.
This is better? No, this.
Yes, this is much better,
process.
Kees.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
it's okay.
This is very good.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, Jan says it's okay now. Okay.
Again.
Again. Shall I do it again or what?
Briefly.
That was the briefest I could get. Hello, I'm Kees from Amsterdam, and I'm artistic director of the Theater de Krakeling in Amsterdam. That's a venue in the city. We program like 300 shows a year, not different, like 80, 90 different shows, and in total 300. And we also have a festival. We just ended it last Sunday. That's why I could came here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And we had like some 18 different shows there, all over town in different venues, and also site-specific things. And this year was only for Dutch shows, because we found it too risky to program international shows when we made the program. That was before summer. We were thinking now to COVID, that might be a very risky chance, but maybe this could have worked out. We do every year the festival in October, in the vacation period in the autumn, and we bring also normally 4 or 5 international shows, and sometimes also from Italy. That's why one of the reasons I'm here. I would like to see the new Unterwasser show, because I programmed them twice, and I'm now working on my program for next season. Not only the festival, but also the whole season. So that's just and I would like to say the Dutch field is organized like through provinces. The theater fields, every region, every province has its own company who plays there a lot for schools and for in their own city, but they also tour internationally. And there are also 5 or 6 national dance companies. Jan, are there 5 or 6 who are subsidized by the government, and they tour also throughout the country. And the Stilte is one of them. And yeah, so that is how the Dutch field is organized. I don't know how this is in Italy, but the regions are important in our country.
And how many companies, more or less, of course, there are in each region, and how many regions do you have?
We have 12 regions, 11, 12 regions, and let's say every region has like 2 or 3 companies, but there are a lot of companies based in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and in The Hague. There are a lot more companies. In total, I think there are like, how many companies in the Netherlands? 70, 80? Something like this, who play professional.
Well, there's independent companies like mine.
Yeah.
So together,
This is what I wanted.
so together, there's a lot of companies.
Simone, answer us from the company's point of view.
Yeah.
So yes, you say that, okay, we have those companies, you can apply to the festival, come and how do you leave it from the company point of view? You are one of the, how many companies you feel you are?
I actually don't know, but probably Kees is right, and it's about 80 companies. But next to the system, he explained there's also independent companies like my company, which is called Simone de Jong Company. Yeah, so there's a lot of creative people in Holland.
Okay, I have a question, because since the feeling when you go in a new country is that you never understand precisely which is the system and how it functions. What do you precisely mean? So risking to repeat myself or something that have been said already. What is an independent company? The definition, what does it mean in your country, independent company?
Well, there's companies that are subsidized structurally by the government. But there's also companies who try to, yeah, for 4 years. And then there's also companies who ask for money for each different project. And that's what they call independent companies. So if I want to make a performance, I go to the funds and I ask for money for this project.
Okay, so there is, so this distinction is between companies that are funded during 4 years to function, to exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
And other companies that are funded as independent company, that means that they are depending for their production to funding that they need to require for each single show or project.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, great. This is much more clear. So, and you, Simone, your company, you are an independent company depending for each production from this kind of funding.
That's a big.
Add something, yes, please.
Yeah, that's a big difference because when you have money for 4 years, you also have money to produce, but also to have an office and just you must apply with a plan for the 4 years. Which things are you going to do? And also you have some kind of overheads budget. So, and this is very important. It gives some kind of security to the companies who are not independent.
So I have no office.
Do you have an office?
No, I don't have an office. With people working for me, I don't. He has.
Okay, so that means, and how do you call those companies that are founded during 4 years? And it's not only company, because if I understood well, for example, yes, your structure is a funded and 4 years funded company structure.
No, I have a company, I have a venue.
A venue, of course.
And my venue is subsidized by the city of Amsterdam, but the companies are normally subsidized by the governments and in combination with the province where they're based.
So let's see if we understood properly. Let's ask Andreas, that is another artist, how does it function for him? So Andreas, welcome. Compagnia Plan D.
Plan D. Hello, Italy. Hello, Christina.
I know,
Hello, the others.
I know, unmute yourself.
I am.
I know, è unmutato, non si sente.
Okay. You hear me?
You are unmuted, but we don't hear you. We still, there is
He doesn't say anything.
a lack. No, he was speaking.
Yes, I was speaking. You hear me? No, you don't.
Oh.
You hear me now?
Sì?
Okay.
Noi non lo sentiamo.
So the situation of
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Good. The situation of Plan D in Holland is the situation of Holland is of Plan D in Holland is kind of funny because we are getting structural subsidy from the government. So I run my office and I have people who are working with me. I pay my dancers properly and good and everything is fine. But it is kind of difficult to gain extra fundings. So I'm kind of at a small dance company. I'm in a between situation that I can pay my office, but I hardly cannot pay a production. So that is a kind of a strange situation I have to deal with, and I try to solve it with my ability to improvise and to work as cheap as possible and to work more hours than I have to do, like I started 30 years ago. And it is maybe also a chance to get old spirit back and to find solutions which are more creative. But it is far away from working nice. So it's hard fighting still. But we in Holland, we are very happy to have fundings in total. Like there are a lot of groups the government funds. So I don't want to bezwaar aantekenen. I don't want to put someone in a bad situation, so we are very happy to find to work, because Holland gives quite a lot of money to groups. Sorry for my very bad English.
You are, as always, fantastic. I will ask Anastasia from Yellow Company about how it's going with the hair, and something about, I know that you have had an experience last year in iPay, and this is where I booked your show, for example. So tell us about something about this. And where are you in this independent funding? I mean, we started from that point of view because I know that it's kind of helping if you want to understand how is the functioning of a system. Then we can speak about artistic stuff. But I know that to match and to set cooperation, it's important to understand where is the other one and which is the feeling about how can you deal with the resources, with time, with space, and things like that.
Yeah, I'm super happy that you invited me, and I think it's really important to understand the structure of the theater, because myself, I'm being also a producer of my own company, not only an artist. So I think it's also something what in Holland a lot of artists to have to deal with, is to be involved in the money problems. There is a lot of traveling, I would say, also, which is interesting. Maybe is not in every country like this, that if you have performance, you always travel. Like every performance you go in your show, sometimes you stay in one location for, yeah, it depends on festival, but a lot of times I know if my colleagues from Holland know, is it true that we travel a lot through the country and new locations? Which some, I know, for example, I'm coming from Ukraine. So in Ukraine, you have children's theater, which has his own space and has his own crew, you know, and they are like know each other for 20 years. This is not the case in Holland. The structure of theater really fluent, and a lot of my colleagues are going from one company to another company as a freelancers. My company is also independent. I am made my first youth show for really like for 2+ in 2019. But I did shows before already for grown-ups, but because I'm painter and I have mime style, it's really click with the young audience. And we went to iPay online, not live, where you could see us. And it's anyway, this show Yellow, which will present, opened for me a lot of doors in Holland as well. I hope internationally also. But like said Andreas, it's not easy. It's kind of, I also have the same problems that I'm overworking in my own home office because I don't have office. And there is, I think in Holland is also a big problem with the space because it's a really small country. So I think if you think like about cooperation or things about to make co-productions, it's really wise to think if you can offer Holland people space, it's already a big thing because we pay quite a lot for just making productions.
This is an interesting information because when you need or want or wish to set cooperation, to know which are the needs of the others you want to cooperate with can be really interesting. For example, here you have some colleagues that have a space, that means venue or theater that they say own or rent or use the all year long. So for example, to offer a residency to an independent company in Italy can be interesting because another thing that it's interesting to know is that the Dutch Performing Art Funds is funding, it's a fund that you can ask for funding transfer for artists. So you see maybe an opportunity can be to start a relation with an artist from Netherlands, host them in Italy. If we have a space or a venue, have a residency, then make the opening in Italy and ask to the Dutch Performing Arts Funds to fund the transport. And then you go back and maybe you can find a way to host an Italian company or make a kind of format like that. And we already have 2 festivals that can host those fantastic co-productions. So let's go to Bring Festival, because I saw that Jan was doing that, like, I don't know the word in English, but yelling, no, something like that. So tell us why you were agreeing with your head, and yeah, and tell us something about your festival that is internationally, mostly, from what I know.
Thanks, Christina. Let me start by saying that there's a bit of a nuance in independent companies. We have 3 layers, in fact. The first layer is that you get a structural grant out of the Ministry of Culture. And then you are in the basic infrastructure of the Netherlands. And these are companies with which have a big assignment. So besides producing, they also have an educational assignment, and they just get an exploitation subsidy for it. So the deficit that you have in your budget is subsidized by the government. Then you have the second layer, which is the Dutch Fund for Performing Arts. And I think Gaia is in this system, like for instance. And the Dutch Fund for Performing Arts is also a structural grant. Also, Andreas gets money from the Dutch Fund for Performing Arts. But they don't give money for education. They only give money for production and for spreading the work, for the distribution. And then you have the independent companies. And the independent companies, they work on project money. If you look at the other backside of, because this is all the distribution part and the producing part, besides that, you have festivals and you have venues. Case is a venue. And most venues in the Netherlands, they get money out of the city. And from the city, they get an assignment. So like, for instance, the big theater hall in the city where I come from, Breda, has got the assignment to book performances with a national status. So they will book only national, well-known companies. And then they refer this to, like, you are granted by the Dutch Fund for Performing Arts or by the ministry, but it's difficult for independent companies to come into this system. So this is also a backlash. So if you ask me where is the best to have co-productions, me as a Dutch person, I would say co-productions with especially independent companies would help the infrastructure of the Netherlands the best. And besides that, you have festivals. I also run a festival, Brick Festival, and festivals, they get money basically also from the Dutch Fund for Performing Arts, the province and the city, but they don't have an assignment out of the city, but most of the times they have a national assignment. So this is basically the whole structure of the funding system. And within this funding system, there's always a lot of nuances. So like Andreas already said, he's in between somewhere. We are always in between somewhere. If you are from the highest, let's say the basic infrastructure, or you are an independent company, you are always in between because you are always developing as an artist. I think so. So where the development is, you can always find special grants out of the government or private donations. So there's also quite big. There are a lot of opportunities in the private sector, let's say, because there are some institutions out of the private sector which give money to culture.
Very well, thank you. Very well explained. And it's interesting for us to really understand how to connect with another country.
Basically, everything can connect, Christina, if you are talking about developing. So it's never about what to do, but it's more or less like, what would you like to develop? And if this question is a good question for the infrastructure on both sides, then I'm pretty sure you will always find money for it. So like, for instance, the BRIC Festival I work for is a festival we just established with the Stilte company because we were touring internationally. We saw work that is never shown in Breda in the region. And we decided just to invite companies to Breda. And at the start, I found a lot of private money for this because it's difficult to get directly money from the government. But when it was proven that it had let's say, a value for the region throughout funding of private donations, then the government stepped in. And it's always like this. So it's always out of the perspective to develop something and then go to make an infrastructure for it.
Okay, thank you. And just to stick on this developing process, you should know that all the artists that are today here are somehow connected with both festivals. And because with Visioni and Segni, we want to really to set a kind of best practice and to collaborate. For example, Visioni, through the process mapping, is developing a co-production with BRIC Festival that will premiere in next June, sorry, 2022. Again, Simone de Jong was with us last year in the online festival with her performance that was really one of the most successful. And she's here today, and she will be in Mantova to meet other Italian producer. And the fact that Chain Reaction is trying to create connection is also to set deep mobility paths. That means that if we welcome Yellow, and you can see it this year, maybe next year, they can have a broader, a longer tour. Or Andreas will be with us in the communicating vessel meeting, and he will tell us something about his new production. Or Simone maybe can come with the new show because she's working on a new production. Maybe she needs something for this production that is not only funding or a venue or something like that. So really, I really believe that this online space is a space that we can benefit and profit to set those cooperation and to develop cooperation. Let's see the point of view of the agent. Gaia, what is your point of view? Because in Italy, you should know that we don't have so many agents, and we need to agree on what is an agent, okay? But we don't have that many people that are only selling production, or even producer is not so, oddio. It's not so, niente, non mi viene manco in italiano. Okay, you understood. Okay, but I wanted to say something on it. Okay, go ahead. I will tell you.
So now, first of all, I'm not an agent. I'm a choreographer and artistic director of Dado Dance. But I can, yes. So maybe I was not clear in my presentation, but I'm artistic director of Dado Dance, also a company based in Amsterdam.
In which layer do you place yourself?
Yes, I place myself. I'm a 4-year subsidy from the not the basis infrastructure, not so big as the Stilte, but for the first time in this system of 4 years. So since January, so it's I'm really a starter, let's say, and also there we have layers in this 4-year system. We have the layers of people with more responsibility, let's say, to be more shows. Like I'm in the first layer. Like it's okay if I have like 25 shows a year, and when you get more money, you have to present, I don't know, 80 and blah blah blah. So it's also there is also a differentiation. But I'm working with the agent, so maybe I can tell you my point of view of the. I'm working with the agent doing the.
I was feeling this, you know. This.
Yes. We have an agent that is distributing our performance through the Netherlands, basically only through the Netherlands. And she has a very good connection, so she's arranging for us, for example, a show, a place to go in premiere, to have a premiere, because especially when you are an independent choreographer, to ask for subsidy, you should have a tour before you can get the subsidy. So it's very good to have an agent that has connection, because they can already make sure that you have shows sold before you make the piece. Because if you don't have shows, you don't get the money. So just to explain also, yeah, so it's very complicated again for people that they are not in the structural subsidy. The working with the agent is like this. Sometimes I find as an artist, sometimes a bit difficult to work with the agent, because the market asks for something, and you as an artist, you want to continue to develop and maybe experimenting. Yeah, I think for the agent, it's good to say to the theater, okay, it's a piece like this. I need the theater maybe ask for a piece for more pieces for 4 years old. But then you think, no, but I want to make really for a small one. And then maybe say, yeah, but if you only make for a small one, it's maybe selling less good, or you cannot put much public in it, so you cannot ask a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like if you make a show for 2+, you should have like maximum 80 people. It's already a lot. But the agents say, yeah, but I cannot ask for a lot of money if you have only 80 people. So it's always a struggle to find this compromise in having your performance sold and be close to what you believe in as an artist. So it's always talking and finding compromise. And then what is also sometimes it's difficult as an artist to the selling is starting very fast, very soon, the selling of the show. So like I had to say in August the condition of my show that is coming in premiere in 2023. So somehow you already put a restriction, for example, that you say, I would like to have public on stage. You don't know, you want to experiment this. But you have to say to the agent before, because he has to know in which venue your performance could place.
Okay, this is, I would love to have a round of table from the other artists. Do you agree with this? I mean, does this description correspond with you? And basically, what does it mean from the artistic point of view? I mean, you need to know a lot of things. Isn't it putting a lot of again pressure, restrictions, cage? Isn't it a sort of a cage? Who wants to go? Simone, go ahead. I can read in her eyes. No, come on.
Well, it's yeah. I think in Holland they're very good to place everything in hokjes. You know, they like to make these little holes and everybody's in a hole. No, but you know, practically it's you want to make shows, and I think some shows are liked by the theater, and other shows, especially when they get more abstract, it's harder to sell your show. But when you're developing a show, that's not the first thing you think about, whether it's going to be abstract or concrete or whatever. So you just make what comes from the heart and the head. So that's something that's sometimes complicated at the show, that you love yourself. And sometimes you also see that the very small kids, they really love the show. But the ones who have to buy and sell them sometimes think it's more complicated. But that, of course, is more general in the children's world, that there's adults deciding for the children. You know, I'm also a writer. I write books for children. And then usually the parents buy the book. So you're making for children, but you're dealing with adults. That's, you know, that's the something that you are dealing with. It's a paradox. Exactly, Case. Yeah. Anything else you would like to know?
Yeah, who else wants to? Jan.
Yeah, I totally agree on the paradox there is. I think also there are answers for the paradox. And that's the answer for me was to not look at how to buy and sell a show, but only to see how you make long-term relations with partners in your own region and in your own city. So the work you create as a choreographer or as an artist is always good work because it comes out of the heart. It's always an honest work. And this means that this honesty must be translated to the audiences you have. So like, for instance, I'm in the company now for 17 years, and I'm really working on an infrastructure round out the company and also trying to have others to benefit from this. So my company has got structural relations with more than 200 schools in the region. And all these 200 schools, they like the work of the Stilte, but also I can present other works if I have a good relation with these schools. And the only thing that I do is I'm not in it for to sell a show to a school. The only goal that I have is to have the conversation with schools on how they can develop the imagination of their children. And every school is different in this. And it's the same if you work with theaters in the region. All theaters have another perspective of development. So our city theater is more interested in early years, but the theater 25 kilometers from Breda is more into audience development for a diverse audience. So the perspective on how you create a relation in order to present your work is not connected for me directly to sell a show, but is more to have a relation with the audience or with the ones who decide who will be the audience.
In fact, this is the question, Jan, because Simone was speaking about who's buying the books, but who is buying the performances? Because you're speaking about having a relation with the schools. That means that you are going to perform in schools. Are teachers buying? Who's buying the performances?
Basically, the teachers are buying the shows, but they come to the theater.
Well, not always, no, the teachers buy
Not
the show.
always.
Yeah.
It's always also they are represented most of the times by people, or like, for instance, Kees has got a special position in the Netherlands because he's a programmer, but his theater also has the assignment to book for schools. So this is a very hybrid way. So there's not one line, let's say, how this functions. But what I did is I just created my own infrastructure because then I can depend the best.
Okay, this is an interesting model, Jan. Kees, do you want to add something about this fact that who's buying, who's because okay, again, today we are shifting on this level, but yeah.
What Jan says is
Wait. It's my turn. Okay.
It's true that the Krakening has a special position because we can buy a lot of shows, and we have double assignments also for schools, but also for theater. And what is important that to build a relationship with, for us to build a relationship with companies, like Jan says, For us, it's the other way around. Jan says, as a company, I want to make relationships with schools and theaters. For us, it's important to see the development of what companies are doing. Like, for instance, we make long-term relationships with companies. We don't look at the companies, the shows, and then we program it. And we say to them, we come for the next couple of years, we can cooperate together. And there's not the closed system, but also every time new companies are coming in, and that's not only the basically structured company, but also the Simone de Jong's new show is premiering at our place, so that's one of our, and also the last one premiered at our place. So when we see new developments in the field, and that's for us, maybe that's referring that we are special in the Netherlands because Jan was referring to Chaussee Theater. There's a very big city theater in. Their basic idea is not to work for families, but for the whole city. Also, family is just a small thing in their work. For us, it's our whole work. So that's a big difference.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to add something? Anastasia was like, yes, it is that way or not. Andreas, I have another question, but I don't know if you want to add something on it.
I can say something. Now, coming from the new generation, I just finished in 2014. I think myself as a young. For me, it was quite a big step to come to more professional scene and to come to this point where I'm now, and I can really sell the shows for the next season. And for example, to have now my premiere and to have a little bit more like see to the next year that it will be okay for me, you know, to perform and to develop my own shows. I can say it's really now difficult for the, you know, this in between. There is like professional and people just graduated. There is kind of, you have like what to set case, you have to prove yourself. So there is a moment of improvement to the scene is really important in Holland. So you have to invest yourself a lot as an artist. And I can imagine if you're talking about cooperation coming from other country, I think it's something also what could be expected from people abroad and companies abroad. They have to prove themselves. And this kind of going to the festival is already selection. That's already nice for programmers to see it. But I don't, that's why maybe it's interesting to see this. For me, as a younger generation, I think important to give a chance to people to develop something and to show to the people who are booking, who are programmers, to show the quality, because the programmers, they don't have time to search for people, you know, like, oh, where are you? They have already enough, more than enough. And there is people who are professional.
Same in Italy, huh? This is same in Italy. This is same in other part of the world. Yes. And after COVID, we have more than enough because we are going back. Sorry, I just want to go on the after COVID situation that we are facing, because it looks like we are going to be more and more busy than what we were, because we developed competencies on being online, for example, but we started to do again the live part. So now we double. I had a festival, now I have two festivals, one live and one online. That means that we need a time to set the technicalities and to really understand which is the space of the relation. Of course, we will need a time to work on it. And this is the research part of this time. And I hope, since I love to be positive, to better use this opportunity that is one of the main goals also of this meeting. What is interesting from what you're saying, that is a kind of hidden answer, but I will put it up as a question. Do you feel, all of you, people from Netherlands, that there is a space for foreign people or not. I mean, there are a lot of, I feel there are a lot of funding to fund artists to go abroad from Netherlands. I mean, a lot. There are fundings. We don't have that many in Italy, for example, okay? What about hosting? What about a festival? If you host a foreign country, is this an added value or not? I'll ask this to the Bring Festival and Festival from Chiesa. And also, as a company, when you apply, if you apply for funding your production and you say, oh, this is a co-production with a foreign country, is this an added value or not? So the two answers, if you want to make a round of table.
1000% this is an added value. And there are two answers because it's an added value. The first thing is to get to know yourself, you have to learn what others do. Because elsewise you don't get to learn yourself. So the reason why we brought international companies to Breda is because I can present 200 shows of the Stilte in Breda and they will be all sold out. But this is not interesting for my audience. It's more interesting for my audience is if there's pluriformity, so that they see the diverse work, and in relation to the audience, children deserve the best. So they deserve a lot. And they don't only deserve Dutch companies, they also deserve international companies. And like, for instance, what I've learned throughout the years is also the way you produce is always different. So like, for instance, we work with La Baraka quite a lot, and they have a different approach on how they produce their work. And if you get to know each other and you know what the qualities are in how you produce the work, you can also take out components which will benefit yourself and will benefit the others. So if you have this relation, you both get better in the relation. Is this an answer to your question, or do you want to have more?
No. From you, it's okay for me. I have enough. Thank you. Okay, let's go forward with this round of table. Bruno wanted to add something.
I can talk from La Baraka side by confirming what Jan said, not just because of our collaboration, but because also if you create new partnerships, as you were saying at the beginning, maybe with international projects, there is a big possibility there to find out also new ways for Italian companies on how to do theater, especially on dance. That it's something that still in Italy and also in Europe, we are trying to develop. I think that in the Netherlands, considering also the representatives that we are having in this meeting, the dance, it's much more strengthened, it's much more focused. So if you're interested in developing this part of arts, which means dance, I think that the Netherlands can be really an interesting spot to visit.
Okay, Bruno have been putting on the table something that is, I feel that there are a lot of reflection connected with that, because Bruno, what you're saying, I definitely agree, but in my brain, I'm following a reflection, a syllogism. That is, as a country, you have funding to go abroad. In TYA, Theatre for Young Audience, if you go abroad with a show that has a lot of text, that is text-based, you're not going to work a lot. That means that this will impact on the languages, on the kind of production that will go abroad. And since the market is always impacting with what you produce and what you artistically produce to make it sustainable, it means that it looks like the Dutch production in TYA, of course, are more rich because they are more sustainable if they are on dance and non-verbal production. That is, in fact, from our Italian, let's say, point of view, or myself, my own point of view, it's true that the feeling is that the No, okay. Dutch dance production is really active and productive. Let's put dance in non-verbal also, because, for example, Hermit is a non-verbal, fantastic non-verbal show. That is, for who doesn't know, the show from Simone De Jong that we broadcasted last year on seninonda.org, and that you can see and you can ask her video because it's fantastic. Even online, even on video, it's fantastic. I am a fan, of course. It's a kind of also a kind of a provocation. Kees, go answer, please. No.
But it's also the other way around, because when I look for international shows, for me it's quite difficult to bring piece from Dante Alighieri or because no one will understand that, or because so I'm looking for non-verbal shows or with less words. So that's one of the main things, because also Dutch is not such a well-known language all over the world, so no one can understand it. But maybe a lot of people in Holland can speak English, but not Italian. So that's it's also a thing. And this is also as a comment to what Jan says. We are always looking for something that doesn't exist in the Netherlands. Or when I book an international show, it must be something different from what we know. And it's not only about language, but also about your culture, what it brings to us, what we don't have, but what we found valuable for us. So that's what for us and for the children in the audience. So, yeah.
Yeah, Simone wants to go ahead. I was laughing because I thought, okay, don't make a show on bicycle for all. That's a stupid joke coming in my brain. So go ahead, Simone.
Well, for me, it's not very logical to make a text-based performance for small children, because the very young age that I make for 2 to 6 at the moment is well, actually. I'm thinking about Reggio Emilia, who said that a young child has got like 100 languages, and the spoken word is only one language of the 100 that he has. So we're inspired by these Italian theories. So when I make for this young age group, it's much more, logical for me to make images and movement, music. And also the other thing is that like Anastasia, I'm from the mime school in Amsterdam, and I also came from music theater. So I think in Holland, that's one of the only modern mime schools that you have, which is like physical acting. I think it's quite different than the schools in other countries. So that's typical Dutch, I think, this development in modern mime. And I really like to work with people coming from mime school because they are physical actors, but in a different way than, text-based actors, which is really interesting, I think.
Simone opened the door, or you have put it on the floor of the discussion, something that can open a door of a long discussion, speaking about if a performance for youngest 2 years old spectators test-based is okay or not, and if it's better to propose things that are only visual. I underline that and to open this, okay, just look through this window, because we are in this relation between the two festivals. Visioni has this focus, and Segni that is also for the teenagers. So just to reframe where we are and to tell you, you want to follow us at the online hub that will be held at 12 o'clock Monday and Tuesday, 25 and 26, and follow our discussion that will be really focused on this kind of question, but we have 20 minutes more. If there is any question, just write it in the chat. I will forward it to our guest. Another interesting thing, I try to make connection with the program of the both festival. We have the VIP presentation, online program, very international pitch, and we will have a company, the 28th, that is Compagnia Teatro degli Ananassi, that will speak about Dante Alighieri for foreign, and we will ask ourselves, what about how telling about Dante Alighieri, that worldly known and renowned, how to tell this story and what Dante Alighieri is for us. That is kind of Dante Alighieri and bicycle sharing different colors, something like that. But just to stay awake, you know, I use these jokes and stupid things to make our synapses reacting. Who wants to add something more on this topic? Where were we? Kiss, go ahead.
What you asked before, what's about the Dutch are really happy to give money to the Dutch companies going abroad, but then they're not so happy to invite international shows to the Netherlands.
Exactly.
That's a big problem, I think, because as Architees, I'm also in Architees Netherlands together, besides with Jan. We found this not such a good thing, because we think we must intertwine together, not only be like give money to Dutch companies going abroad, but why don't give the theaters money to bring international shows to their places? But they say that's a different system. But I think for us, that's really an important thing, that we must intertwine together, not only like and what there are a lot of people not complaining from the Netherlands, but if we compare what we have in the Netherlands for money for culture and for theater and for dance and for shows, that's far more than in Italy, I presume. It's also a bit of a, when you compare these to each other, I think there's.
I voluntarily skipped the question about numbers. I was asking how many companies, 80, and I said, okay, this will be, we will hurt ourselves. Don't go that direction. We don't want to know how much you're funded and how much is funded the show. We don't want to know that. We believe that there is a paradise. We want to believe in paradise, and we still want to believe in paradise, knowing that paradise, from our point of view, is France. Because this is also, you know, feelings of the international scene. But even Netherlands can be a kind of staying on the Dante Alighieri metaphor, one of the sphere, okay? But you were touching something interesting, that is the bilateralità, okay, of the relation. How can, because chain reaction wants to be also that, the place in which we can set bilateral programs or policy to set together. We have here Linda Eroli, that is our CITES Italia president, and chain reaction is a process that is founded from the Ministry of Culture to stress and to reinforce this process. For you to know, we will be in Brick Festival with a delegation of Italian festival presenting Italian artists. Maybe this can be the occasion to set relations and to set bilateral relations, because from my experience also, for example, we are, and I need to thank the Dutch Performing Arts Fund, because we can host artists coming here to the festival, shows coming to the festival, and also this meeting is partly funded by the Dutch Performing Arts. We should work on funding something in the other way. What? Where are they? No, they are not here, but they are looking at us everywhere. So this can be the occasion. I don't know if someone else wants to say something on it, or if you have maybe any models that we can reply to set this kind of relation. Linda went away as a president, but it's normal because, you know, she's calling the Mario Draghi. She's calling Mario Draghi to ask him to set this new relation, but Mario will solve everything. So she's taking care of that. Is there anyone that wants?
I was with Mario Bianchi. I was talking with Mario Bianchi, not Mario Draghi. More or less, it's the same probably. Yes, but I agree with you, Christina. It could be a good occasion because we will be together in Brick Festival. So we have time to imagine and talk together about a bilateral something, bilateral something. I don't know how to say now because I have not so fast synapses like Christina.
Succedono, things are happening on my laptop. Più tardi. Okay, fine. So we have a few minutes more. There were some questions that I launched and that I said, let's make a round of table. Then I jumped in and you didn't speak. So would you like to finish this and to take care of this? Like if you have experience of hosting Italian artists or cooperation or models of bilateral cooperation, I don't know. I mean, we have the example of La Baracca with the Brick Festival and the Stilce Company. That is a good process. Abbiamo un secondo, poi mi spegnerò.
To work on a long-term relationship, that's quite difficult because when I'm looking at my festival, I want to have the best shows from Italy, and that's one year it can maybe this one or the other one. So maybe it's more about the structure. How can it be like not only about money but also about how can we get to know for us? We had a French delegation over at our festival, and we didn't know such good how the French shows are. So we now think about maybe that's an example for the Italian shows. We don't know in the Netherlands well which are the most important Italian companies who are working, what ages are we working for, and what can we choose from. Maybe we can do in the Brick Festival like some kind of thing around these things. So maybe this can be a start to work more internationally together, to exchange more instead of sending only the Dutch abroad.
Yeah, so we will have we definitely will arrange this meeting in Brick Festival. Jana, do you agree with us?
What I find also interesting, Christina, is just to look what is there artistically in Italy and what is there artistically in the Netherlands, and also to look how we can connect in co-producing or how we can connect in just having an exchange together. So for me, it's not directly that we get to know each other by what are the best companies, but like, for instance, why do I work with La Baracca? I work with La Baracca because they are the best company that there is for early years. And we can really learn a lot on what their approach is. So it's not about the shows directly, but it's also on the approach, how you do this kind of things and how it's in the structure. So for me, it's like, it's more also on this level where you want to exchange So it's not directly about inviting, but it's also about more to get to know each other. So for me, it's like, yeah, Italy is for me also around the corner, you know. I just flew to Brno and we just made a plan in 3 days. And we ate together, we drank together, and it's also about the personal relation that you sometimes have in order to make things happen.
Yeah, I agree. And I say, Cristina, very fast that considering that we are going to BRIC for Italian companies, maybe many times it's just switching the perspective, understanding also to risk, also to find the way for experimenting. I mean, we didn't collaborate with the Stilte just because we are in the partnership of the European project, but also because we love risk. And we also like to understand if there are new possibilities. We didn't know before working with Jack if we like it or not. Now we did the first part of the exchange in Bologna, and we found out in the place that we like it, but it's not a traditional exchange. We have to be open as Italian companies to find new ways of collaborating and exchanging. That's for sure.
Yes, Bruno. So just to precise it, I believe that what Kees was saying is really the same of what Jan was saying, but just, I mean, from a different point of view. And also Bruno is underlining the fact that, of course, we don't start a relation from the fact that we book a performance and we like this, but it's the relation, and to develop a relation is, of course, again, the key word. This keyword relation is also the keyword of chain reaction, because what we want to do is to start relations digitally, live, visiting festival, and to, for example, we have here live some colleagues that are younger, that are having a burst of exchange to travel to other festivals together with us. So when we go to because to meet people and to start this relation is not that easy, because somehow I need to underline that La Baracca and the Stilte have funding for go and travel to Bologna. If you are a young artist, or
Cristina, it's also about that we open up, like for instance, what we did in BRIC is we opened up our delegates program. So we are not only inviting festival programmers for the delegates program, we are also inviting young artists from the Netherlands. We are also inviting agents, so that you have more of a mixture in the relations that you have, because elsewise you only get a happy few that you already met 10,000 times before. But it's more interesting to have a program, an international exchange program, where you open up this whole perspective of relations. And this is also what we basically also what we learned from La Baracca, because when I went to the Visioni Festival, this is something that we don't know in the Netherlands, that you have more broadened up. It's about all the it's about all the segments in the sector which are present at Visioni. And in the Netherlands, this is not normal, or we are not used to have this.
Okay, so the interesting part also to underline, to remember, is that a delegate program is not inviting only delegates. That means people who are programming. That is, I mean, this I do agree, and it's something that we are trying to do in the chain reaction process. And for example, this is why we invited Simone Young, even if she's not performing, because this is what we need to give space and time to artists to meet other colleagues that are in other roles. This is what we have been trying to do in Giglio Island and Segni d'Estate. And this is something that I strongly believe that it's something that we need to do in this new future. This is something that happened also in Trallallero, that is the first festival of that is in the chain reaction chain of festivals and meeting. And I will read a comment in the chat from the Bede Soares that is here with us, even if with a nice picture, because maybe she's not made up like me. She doesn't want to show up, but she's, since I agree with her affirmation, she says that how to guarantee the diversity goal in TYA, we all agree must be larger in the international festival, as mobility funds are decisive for programmers everywhere. This is a subtle attention that we need to give, and it is also object of discussion, because of course it's easiest to program a show that is already paid from someone else, or the transfer is paid from someone else. We again go to sorry, I'm reading the chat, and this is relevant. I will read. Andreas needs to underline that Bebe is always presentable. No question. I do agree, Andreas. Maybe she's painting her house or doing amazing things she doesn't want to share. So let's be serious. This is a fragile and subtle line. The fact that if you are funded or not, or your transport is supported, we stick again to the economics. That is something we don't like, but also we need to face to make correction to this distortion, to help the diversity to be alive. To speak, Bebe, go ahead.
Yes, I will not show my face today, yes. God knows what's happening here. But I would like to add, I have been to this Perform Europe huge event and brainstorming sessions and all that. And it was very interesting to see how in the context of touring in Europe, the countries that are from, well, the whole touring that has been financed by Creative Europe all these years, it's heavily Scandinavian, Germany, France, UK. And it was for me very interesting to hear the artists from Romania, from Hungary, from from Albania. They speak about how essential the international touring is for them to be able to sustain themselves as an artist. And this was exactly what I've been, everybody knows me here, I have been preaching and saying and advocating that the mobility funds, the cultural funds everywhere, which is wonderful. We just had yesterday the closing of IPay that was funded by the Canada Council for the Arts, and we depend so much on all this, but it is really becoming a little bit one-sided. I will give one example. IPay has companies from the countries that can afford the mobility funds. So it's Ireland, it's Scotland, it is the Netherlands, it is New Zealand, it is Australia, it is Chile, by the way, it is Canada. And this is very limiting for IPay, because we really want to have, we're talking about diversity, we're talking about the different perspectives, different cultures. And I am now in Germany with a lot of funding, not so much for the international, unfortunately, but a lot of funding here. And it is a very schizophrenic situation. What we say when we talk about equality and diversity, and of course, this is important to all of us here, I'm sure, but then there is an imbalance. It has to do with the mobility funds. And I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with the Performer. I think next week, we're going to have the tours that were approved for this pilot. And I hope this will give a good impulse for this whole system that finances art. That's it.
Thank you, Bebe. I do agree, and I believe that we do agree, all of us, to the fact that the connection with the biodiversity and sustainability and economics, it is also connected with that topic at the environmental level. Of course, we always see the same impact. Economy and biodiversity are really connected. Tomorrow we will listen to Rui Pina Coelho, if I am right. Is it tomorrow? No, it's the 27th. The 27th, in the Communicating Vessel meeting, you will listen to Rui Pina Coelho, that is a theater critic, that will speak to us about resilience, this bad word that we are listening from long time, that is again connected with the economic system. And he will tell us something about resilience in arts also, from his point of view, just to tackle your interest to follow our Communicating Vessel program. So our time is finished. If there is anything else to ask, I am really, really grateful to all the people that have been together with us, because for me, it gave me a sense of a taste and a general picture of what is happening in the Dutch scene. And of course, we have no answers. I hope we raised a lot of questions that we understood better, which are some point of view or some opportunity to start a relation. So thank you, everybody. And see you on Segni in Onda. And for some of you, see you in Mantova in few days or hours. Ciao. See you tomorrow in Mantova.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Siamo ancora in onda?